warriors, swordsmen, mages, hot heroes. All of these people live in a world where crime is something that you can't really get rid of. But there are people that want to get rid of that crime, and then there are people that want to perpetuate that crime. And then there are people that just want to make a quick buck. Those are what we call hunters. There are some hunters that want to just make couple million yen, couple $1 million, couple billion won. There are hunters that want to fight, and then there's hunters that truly want to help the population. We're going to follow someone that wants to taste blood. We see our fine-looking young man get being born. It Izuku Midoriya, half Korean, half Japanese child with very interesting hair, being half green, half blue, with heterochromia of half green, half blue switched on his switched eyes, where the side of his head that has blue hair has a green eye, and the side of his head that has blue hair has green eye. Very much so, he looks like his father, Hisashi Hisashi Midoriya, a Japanese A rank hunter a Japanese A rank hunter that currently makes about about 20 to 40 million yen a year. And his mother, Inko Midoriya, formerly Mitsurugi, a Korean B rank hunter that used to be a hunter but retired due to marriage and to childbirth. This Ever since a young age, Izuku was trained in the way of the blade. But whenever it got time for a quirk activation, nothing happened. From that point on, he was bullied in school, but due to his physical strength, he never really had a problem, and due to his skills with the blade, he never had a problem. And at age 8, when it was said that most people are awakened, nothing happened. Seeing this, he was devastated, but he just told his parents that he was going to be the first hunter to not have an awakening. This brightened them up, but they understood that this wouldn't be possible, as you need at least a E rank awakening to be considered a hunter. Hisashi kept training Izuku harder and harder with the blade to the point where by age 10 he was he was already better in sword fights and kendo matches than most A rank hunters. And by age 13, he was the top kendo master in Japan and top 3 in the entirety of Asia. And by age 14, where we start our story, Izuku Midoriya is sitting in the classroom, just doing some last minute studying before the end of this school year. As a kid walks in, Bakugo Katsuki. Flashback. Bakugo Katsuki, a man projected to be nothing more than a lowly street urchin, but with his awakening of his with his very strong quirk and his A rank awakening blast blow, being able to control the size of explosions, works perfectly well with his quirk. He's able to create explosions that could topple buildings, or explosions that could itch a fly's back without it tingling. Him He was always hailed as the top hero, uh, having an awakening at age 7 and having an A rank awakening. Guilds were fighting for him. He was always on the news every week. But Izuku would always roll his eyes at this, knowing that deep down Katsuki didn't even want to be a hero or a hunter. He just wanted to live a normal life. But Katsuki always played it up because he wanted people to think he was special because he was always looked down upon because of his temper. Izuku knew this because of him and Katsuki being friends, and he never really paid any mind to what Katsuki said. Bakugo came up to Izuku's desk and said, "Hey Deku, so I heard you applied." He said, "Hey Deku, I heard you. I heard you applied for Sanyang Kakun Hagyo in Korea. I applied there too. You know you're not gonna get in, eh, nerd?" As they both meet eyes, Izuku's Izuku's piercing heterochromatic eyes digging into Katsuki's soul. He looks up at him as the room goes silent. Izuku stands up, being about 2 inches taller than Katsuki, being around 6 foot. Katsuki being 5'10". As he looks at Katsuki and says, "I understand your pain, Katsuki, but you do not have to bring it out on other people." As Izuku looks at the teacher and says, "Is there anything else that I have to? Is there anything else that I have to do before I can leave, Sensei?" The teacher looks at Izuku and says, "No, not particularly, Midoriya. Uh, no. We have your application for San. We have your application for Sanyang-kun Hagio. We'll pass it through to our international branch and have it sent to Korea. We'll get you the results back about a month into break. Have a good break. Have a good break, son. You deserve it." And also, and then the teacher continues as Izuku's about to head out. He says, I'll be at your kendo match. It's being held in Taiwan, correct?" Izuku smiles and nods and says, "Yeah, all y'all are invited. Even you, Katsuki. I'll see you there." Bakugo seeds as he sits down, in his seat, exploding Deku's desk before. Izuku walking home doesn't really even Izuku walking home doesn't really doesn't have to bother because his fists are strong enough to take down most people. On Izuku's way home, he sees that on his way home, there's a issue. Izuku works at a dojo, a sword fighting dojo for specifically training hunters. Currently he's training a S rank hunter. He's currently training an S rank hunter, Yokuren Kaguyo. Yes, Izuku is currently training a S rank hunter by the name of Yokuren Kaguyo. Yokuren Kaguyo is awakened only about 2 years ago at the age of 18, and Izuku's been training him ever since. And as he's heading to the dojo to get ready to get some practice in before he starts his training sessions, he sees a little thing. He sees a gate opening up. Izuku obviously texts the master of the dojo, telling him he'll be late due to the gate interference. The dojo sensei understands and says be there as fast as possible. And as Izuku is trying to get past it, an A rank hunter by the name of Pico pulls him by his collar and says, "Hey, are you the porter for our stuff?" Izuku looks at him a bit confused and says, "What? No, I'm not the. No, what do you mean?" Juku says, "Are you sure?" Izuku nods and says, "Yes, yeah. I'm currently late to my job. I need to go train an S rank hunter." Juku, hearing this, drops Deku and says, "You train S rank hunters? How old are you?" Izuku says 14 as he stands up, being eye level with the A rank hunter. Juku says, Do you have an awakening? Izuku shakes his head and says, "No, I do not." Juku backs up, gets a full look at him, and says, "Oh, you're that Kendo prodigy, eh?" Izuku nods his head and says, "Yes. Over the week in the next week or so, I have a tournament match in Taiwan. If I win it, I'll be the number one ranked Kendo master in all of Asia." Juku nods his head and says, I see why you're trained by a hunter. Why you train S rank hunters." And as Zuko's about to leave, an A rank hunter by the name of Kakuyui grabs him by the shoulder and says, "Hey, Izuku!" Izuku turns around and says, "Ah, Kakuyui, how have you been?" Jaku says, "Kake, you know this guy?" Kake nods and says, "Yeah, this is the guy that taught me that taught me the way to sword." Juku nods his head and says, "Understood." Um, and Juku then says, I still do have a question. Our porter is not here. We'll pay you 2 million yen. We'll pay you 2 million yen. Cash. We'll pay you 2 million cash if you can porter our stuff. This is a B rank dungeon. We'll pay you 2 million cash and give you 2 B rank essence stones. Is that fine?" Izuku thinks for a second, says, that'll be perfect. As he picks up the bags, being very strong, he does not have any issues. He walks in with the hunters as Izuku feels a weird thing in his throat. He feels a disturbing force. As he's about to step back, Ju- uh, a woman, a woman named Yakumi, pushes him forward as the gate starts emitting a red particle horrific energy. And as that happens, Izuku finds himself in a frozen wasteland. But that's not all. Fire off into the distance as well. Izuku realizes what happened and says out loud, "Red Gate!" Jaku looks at him and says, "What?" Izuku nods and says, "You're an A-rank hunter. How are you this incompetent?" Jaku just says, "What do you mean?" Okay. Jaku looks around for a second and he says, "Izuku, you're not even a licensed hunter. Stay behind us as much as possible." Izuku nods and says, "Understood." Izuku thinks to himself and says, Am I really? Is this really where I'm gonna die?" Interesting way to die, I guess. Outside of the gate, two people will roll up. S rank hunter, owner of the Blade Guild, Goto Ryuji, and chairman of the Japanese Hunter Association, Matsumoto Shigeo. They pull up, and Shigeo says, "Ah, Ryuji. Well done. It seems that we're a bit too late." Ryuji nods and says, "Well, when I got here, I measured it. These waves are at least S rank." Shigeo nods his head and says, "Is that right? Well, it seems that our hunters are dead." Ryujin shakes his head and says, "At least one of them will come out, I hope." Shigeo laughs and says, "Imagine if it's the porter." Ryuji laughs as well, stops for a second, and then says that if a porter's found and walks out of there, I'll just, I'll just about how about this? If a porter walks out of there and they're alive and they're the only one alive, I'll give you a million yen. Shigeo shakes Ryuji's hands, signifying the bet's made. As he nods his head, laughing. Back in the back in the back in the gate, we see Izuku bolting across a frozen field. Flashback. We see A rank hunters on the ground with blue frozen arrows and pelted across their chest, their armor in shambles, as as Yakumi Yoshina, the A rank healer, says with her last dying fleeting breath to Izuku, "Run!" Izuku drops the bag, and in a blitz, and in a fraction of a second, he's off into the distance. Izuku feels himself getting faster and faster and faster as he feels sparks running up and down his body. He thinks to himself, "Is this where I'm going to awaken and then die?" And as he keeps running faster and faster and faster and fast, and as he reaches a cave, he feels himself get shocked as he drops to the ground, backed against a corner, as a bear the size of a house walks into the cave. This ice bear looks at him as it goes and runs, as it goes and it gets on its hind legs and pounces at Izuku, clamping his jaw around, ready to clamp its jaw around Izuku's head. As Izuku instantaneously dodges, as Izuku, for him, time freezes, and a pop-up menu says, "Would you like to be a player? If you do not, this bear will kill you. Understood?" Izuku looks at this and asks, "Is this my awakening?" A box pops up and says, "This is no awakening. Would you like to become a player?" Izuku just says, "Fuck it. I accept." As he says that, a blade appears in his hand. This blade is Gatsuro Miyashi. And as the blade appears, it says, difficulty rating, D rank, 25 attack. And as it says, also, another one pops up. Skill, D rank, Blade Master. User can attack any magic beast with any normal blade and be able to kill it as if it was a magic weapon. Izuku seeing this just says fuck it as he jumps into the air, as he flies down. He flies down, slamming the blade right into the bear's shoulder. As he brings it back up, he slams his feet against the bear, flips back, lands on the wall of the cave. As he breathes in, and with that, he feels his legs get harder, more muscular, more toned. As he flies like a zip through the air, slamming the bear in its chest, cutting the bear wide open as its guts fall out, dripping, blood on his face, as he feels something snap, as he laughs for a second and says, "So this is what it's like to be a hunter, hey? I can get used to this." And with that, Izuku sees 10 pop-ups that says level up, level up, level up. Just giant windows that say level up, level up, level up. And he sees in the bottom it says gold. 5,000 gold. Izuku nods his head and says, so it is a video game. And as that happens, Izuku sees exercising. Sees exercise um, exercise quests. 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, and a 10-kilometer run. And it shows that Izuku's already done 50 squats, sit-ups, push-ups, and has already ran 5K. Izuku sees this and says, "So it brought my progress over from when I did my morning workout." Dismiss for a little bit. I don't care what happens. I just need to figure out what's happening now. And as he dismisses it, he sees tabs, inventory, character sheet, shop, and then he sees blacksmith. And he clicks on the blacksmith, and his sword appears. His sword, Gatsuyo Miyashi, appears as it says max rank it can be D, max attack 35, no special abilities. He just nods his head as he says, "How do I upgrade it?" And as that happens, a window pops up and says, For 2,000 gold, you can up the attack power of Gatsuyo Miyashi from 25 to 35. Would you like to? Izuku says, will that make any difference in this dungeon? The system says, no, it will not. Izuku just says, fuck it. Yes, I accept. As that happens, the blade Gatsuyo Miyashi starts glowing pure green and blue, as it finally stops, as Izuku feels the power in it. He nods his head as he says, well, it seems we're ready. But as Izuku says that, he falls asleep and wakes back up in a hospital room. And he sees the quest as 2 hours 59 minutes remaining. Izuku says, it's been under an hour? What the hell? And he says that he sees two S rank hunters. S-rank hunter Goto Ryuji and S-rank hunter Matsumoto Shigeo along with his parents. Shigeo says, well, first I would like to say, congratulations on surviving. And next, I believe you should take it a bit easy for the next couple of days. We will allow you to rest. Goto says, by the way, can you put your hand over this for a second? Izuku nods his head as he puts his hand over a mana meter as it reads 75 mana. It says E rank. He looks at Izuku's parents and says, "Your son, unlike you two, is very much a weak hunter. He won't even be able to do basic raids." Izuku, hearing this, just scoffs and says, "With my skills, I'll be able to beat you in the next 2 months." Goto laughs and says, "I'd like to see it." Even says to himself, "Yeah, I gave myself a little bit too little time." Well, Izuku looks at his parents and he says, "You know who I am. I'm the son of an A rank and a B rank hunter. Together, those skills will produce an S rank. Understand that." Izuku then sort of nods his head, and so do his parents with tears in their eyes. As Izuku says, could I get some room? I need to sleep." Izuku takes another nap as he reawakens, and it says 3 seconds left. Two, one. As Izuku gets flashed forward into a weird dystopian world, with sand dunes. As Izuku sees these giant centipedes, and sees a timer that says 4 minutes, 4 hours remaining. Go. Izuku sees these giant centipedes go up from the sand dunes as he says, "So, that's what happens. I would kill these things, but if I go by RPG logic, as he looks at the names. The names are blood red, almost black. As he says, I believe those things could kill me if even one of their legs hit me. As Izuku plants his foot as he blitzes off into the distance, the centipedes following him. Izuku runs for 4 hours straight as he falls back into reality. As he says, "Alright, let's get those done each day." Izuku then sees 3 pop-ups that say, "The rewards for completing emergency quest survive. Reward 1. Reward 1 is rejuvenation, or energy replenishing." Izuku says, "Accept." And when he does, he feels every bit of his exhaustion just disappear as he feels completely perfect. Then it says, +5 skill points to allocate." Izuku nods his head. Except, and after that, Izuku for the next 2 or 3 weeks just keeps doing these every day. And Izuku at this point has grown quite fast. He went from 6 foot to 6'4", and Izuku was actually disqualified sadly from the kendo tournament because of his new awakening. That was a bit distressing and put Izuku in a bit of a despair for a little bit, but he got over it quickly. And with that, Izuku feels himself growing in such rapid strength that he doesn't even know it's happening. As whenever he was doing his training, he did a hard he swung a little hard at a training dummy and cut right through its head. At this point, Izuku's he's about level 4. He's about level 4 and has not that much and has not that much not that much of any stat, but he feels very strong. It just doesn't feel that. He feels relatively strong. And with that, Izuku finally saves up enough money to buy a sword from the shop. He looks through, and one of the options he has is a 100,000 gold, exactly how much he saved up sword. He tries to click on it to inspect it, but he realizes he really can't. He just says fuck it and buys it anyways. When Izuku buys it, he realizes it's a C rank sword. He closes the blacksmith automatically and it says max rank for sword, B rank, max attack. Currently the attack's about 80. Currently the attack's 80, 85, and it has a special skill, uh, green notes. Whenever you have any sort of greenery near you, you deal 25% more damage. And it says max level for damage 190, max level for green, max level for special skill 45%. Izuku nods his head as he says, I don't really have any gold. As he goes back to his main menu, as he starts feeling this blade, as he says, let's do it. As Izuku joins a, as Izuku reevaluate, Izuku joins a C rank, as Izuku joins uh, a C rank team, C rank strike squad, just for Phil. He goes in with the strike squad as he sees them having fun, killing, destroying, slaughtering, and with that, he feels it too. He starts rampaging with his new sword, cutting through, ripping as tearing, turning all of the monsters into mincemeat. As he gets level up after level up after level up. And as he does, he feels himself growing in strength. With a final kill, he feels himself burst with excitement. He blitzes off into the distance as he allocates all of his skills into strength, looking for the boss. And as he sees the boss, he laughs maniacally. As Izuku activates C rank skill, Laugh of the Sword Master. When Izuku is hysterical and is ready and excited to fight, he gets a bonus to his attack speed, damage, and reaction time, and durability. Laugh of the Sword Master. When Izuku is excited for a fight, He gains 35% more speed, attack speed, damage, and physical damage reduction. And as he feels this coursing through him, he grips his sword so tight that he feels as though he's going to break the handle. And all the strike squad sees is a maniac blitzing through, severing the legs of this giant elf. As he's laughing, as this elf is crying, as his tendons are severed. Izuku Izuku appears atop over him as he falls to the ground. Izuku laughs like a maniac as he points his sword at the elf's throat. It seems as though Izuku starts. Hunters hunt for fun. As he thrusts his sword into the elf's neck, slitting, cutting, destroying, as the elf's neck is ravaged and his head flies off. And Izuku gets 5 level ups as he starts laughing maniacally. The strike squad then slaps him as they try to get him back to his senses. He stops laughing, but he's still smiling like a maniac. And as he gets out, he looks at his skills. He looks at his sheet and says, "Now then." Izuku at this point has about 45. He has about 50 strength. He has about 50 strength, 40 agility, about 35 vitality, and only about 24 intelligence, 24 sense. He has about 3,000 health and only about eh, like 200 to 400 mana. Whenever Izuku exits the cave, he exits the gate. He calms down and says, "It seems that hunting gets to me, huh?" The system pops up and says, "Yes, it does. Development of a new skill due to overexcitement of fighting is something that happens quite rarely." Izuku laughs as he nods his head. Now then, where off to next? He heads back. He heads back to his dojo to keep training. And as he keeps training, he just keeps getting more excited. And after another C rank goes down with him turning into a madman. He gets a he gets a special key. The key says go to UA High School, put it in the school door, and walk in. As he does that, he goes in, and he appears in a giant den. This den seems horrifying. Wolves everywhere. But with this, Izuku's smile turns pure evil. As Izuku disappears from view, as the wolves jump at him, as he just starts mowing them, tearing them down. And as he does, he shouts out, "Death, death, death!" With that, Izuku tears through, creating devastation amongst these wolves. And with that, Izuku gets still jawed Lycan still-jawed lichen teeth, and still-jaw lichen blood, and also steel-jaw lichen bones. And after killing enough, and also after killing enough lichens for an entire dungeon, he moves forward, getting to a point where he sees a giant, getting to a point where he sees even bigger wolves. He keeps going. These are steel. These are pure steel lichens. He slams his sword into them, doing nothing. As he puts his sword away, cracks his knuckles, and starts laughing maniacally. As he says, "It seems as though," as he elbows one of the pure steel lichens in the face, "you wolves do not need magic weapons," as he yells out, sprinting anywhere he can to destroy something, caving these pure steel lichens' heads in, turning them into nothing but compact pieces of metal, tearing their metal skin off, turning them into nothing but loose loose scrap on the ground. And as he gets done, he feels himself getting more and more excited. Izuku moves forward, laughing like Alucard. He pulls out his sword. As he sees a giant wolf the size of a building. He says, "Sword upgrade." As he does that, his gold is completely drained, having his sword go from his normal 85 damage to 185, and the superior skill and the skill going from 25% to 30%. As he does that, he walks down, and with that, he laughs like a madman again as he sees his sword glow, as there is greenery around. The lichen winces for a second, but then stands its ground as it jumps, pouncing and closing its jaws around Izuku's arm. Izuku says, "Damn wolf!" As he grabs a sword, he throws the sword to his other hand, stabbing it into the eye of the lichen, pulling it out, having the lichen get away. He put his arm seems fine as he gets into his stance, laughing as he says, "Joker's sword style, Blade Masters, Blade Masters conquest." As in a split second, he disappears, and he starts clashing. As he starts clashing with the paws of the lichen, metal on metal, scratching, boom, 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 boom. And as this happens, Izuku gets more and more and more ferocious, more and more, as he screams out, "Death is your waiting. Give me what you have." And with this, Izuku finally, after clashing for 10 minutes, he gets an opening, slices off the legs of the lichen, slams his blade into the underbelly, cutting through, completely devoweling it. As Izuku cleans his sword, as he picks up some weird glowy thing on the floor. It says, "Two hunter, Izuku Midoriya, meet me in Korea." Nods his head as he puts it in his backpack, and then he picks up a sword. Or not a sword, but a blueprint for a sword. He picks up a handle, and then he picks up a he picks up a blue vial. he looks at the sword blueprint and says, "Sword blueprint." As he reads it, sword blueprint. Lichen, 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 lycanthropy, lycanthropy, devastator. He puts the pieces together: the bone, the jaw, the metal jaw pieces, the blood, and the vial with the metal handle. He puts it all together as he sees the blade form. A bone blade with a metal handle, and blood in the handle being ejected whenever incision is made. Lycanthropic devastation. Damage 150. Special skills. Special kills. Skill 1. Lycanthropy. Lycanthropy. When activated, the user turns into a werewolf with pure death in their eyes. Skill 2. Poison. Poisonous power. When the user attacks anything, the target is poisoned as they drop 2 health per second. Izuku nods his head as he howls off. As he reappears outside of UA High School with 2 swords in his hand, he puts them back into his inventory as he walks off, ready to become the next S rank hunter, National Hunter, and King Hunter, the first this world has seen.